Good day to everyone. We are now going to talk about the clay poultice. Clay poultice, sometimes it can be very difficult to find because clay sometimes is sold very expensive in the place that they can find it. And people may have questions about what is the best clay. Well, let me be honest. Some of the best ones are the red one. As far as I have been in my experience, red clay. But I have also experienced myself at home with some of the clays around my place, and still works in the needs that people have. So if even those that are supposedly not the best still work, I still recommend people to use them whenever they need them because it's available. God gave us the ground, it's available there. So if you find it, you have it, use it. So what is the use of the clay or the red clay or any other clay that you can find available? What is the use of it? Clay is very good for inflammation. Example, inflammation of the abdomen. I will give you a testimony. My queen one day was having inflammation of the abdomen, bloatiness, because of something she was eating. Then what she did, she asked me to get some of the clay that we had in the house, and I just make the clay poultice, gave it to her, and every night she would use it, and the abdomen was down back to normal in the next day. The other example is when my queen had dengue, hemorrhagic dengue fever last year and a half. She experienced a lot of problems with her eyes. The anemia was so low because of the problems she had. Then we used clay poultices on her eyes. Of course, the eyes closed at night to help the eyes. And it's also beneficial for that, as it helps to decrease inflammation. I have used myself clay in other situations. Example, when I was at Duchy Pines with people with inflammation of the whole body, like in liquid retention, when people are inflamed, big, like kidney failures and some other cases. Or even when you have a problem that your hands are inflamed or your legs are inflamed, there is some kind of disease, and then you can use the clay poultices to help these people. What you can do in cases like this, a whole body, a whole member, maybe what you can do is place the person with the clay on the arm. Example, if it's the arm, then you take the person in the sun with it, you apply the clay poultice, and then you leave them in the sun, directly in the sun, to dehydrate the clay. And as you finish 30-40 minutes, you flake off that clay, and it will help to draw the liquid out of the tissue. You may want to do it at home at night and there is no sun available. That's fine. You can even apply heat on top of it, and it will be beneficial. Let's say that you have an inflammation from maybe some insect bite or a sting, even a bee. You can, let's say in the hand, you can just get a small amount of clay and make it a pasty, put it directly on the skin, then cover it with a cloth, and then with a plastic, if you want, wrap it to keep it in place. You can sleep with it, and if you want to apply heat, of course you can do so. You can get an enema bag, a towel or something, and then you put heat on top of it. You can do it in the hand, you can do it in the chest if there is anything. You can do it in the abdomen if there is abdominal inflammation. You can do it in the leg, you can do it even in the knees. Wherever there is a need, you can use clay. It's available, use it. What I recommend people to do is this: just get on the ground and get approximately 6 inches deep. Make a hole 6 inches deep. Take all that ground out. Normally around those 6 inches deep, you have the insects, little bugs, even parasites, the worms crawling into it. So you can take that off, and most of the time the ground below is what can be used because it's cleaner. And it is most of the time clay. If you don't have clay yet, because your ground is not clay yet, then probably you can find another place, or try to use the cleanest ground below the 6 inches that you have. If that is not safe, we can say, because you may still find some little bugs in there, and you still don't have anything more available, don't worry. What I recommend you is this: Get the 6 inches up, down, get down to the 6 inches. Get all that ground up. Get from that ground that is below, and that ground that is below, you can put it with a little water in a pot and you can cook it. Once you cook it, then you mix it with a little more, the water has been going down, so you can put a little more water if it's needing and make it pasty. If it's still pasty when you're cooking because you put too much water, then you don't need anymore. It's already pasty, so what you do is you just apply it on the place that you need it. So either you cook it until the water is down and it's pasty, or if it's already too much, then you can add a little water to make it pasty and put it in the place. Once it is cool, or you can put it warm even. You can put it warm because that will help also the poultice activity. Make sure that it is not enough to burn the person, not just made. And you can use it every night, every day, even if it's necessary. In any place of the body. Very good. So make use of it and help other people that have diseases that you can use it. God bless you. Good day, everyone. Now we are going to talk about dengue and malaria. They are related because of the treatment. The treatment for both basically is very similar. The idea is if you are in the mountains, places where there is these activities and you don't have anybody to help you, there is something you can do to help yourself. The number one thing you have to remember about dengue and malaria is that the most problematic thing is the fever. The fever may go up and even cause seizures or convulsions. Seizures or convulsions, basically what they are is a shortcut in your brain. Similar like in an electric device that you have the wires, and if the wires are open up, the plastic is not there anymore, the wire will be touching other wires and the electricity will be going in the way that it should not go, and then it happens what we call shortcuts. That's basically what it is in the brain. The nerves have their own isolation system. It prevents the electricity from touching other elements that should not be touching and the electricity going where it should not go. But when there is a problem that melts those plastic, we can say similar. No, it's not plastic. It's just an idea for you to remember or understand it. When those areas are melted and you touch, electricity goes one to the other, then the shortcut happens and the person experiences a seizure. And normally it happens when the brain gets heat up, when the brain gets really hot. That's why it's very important in all the times when somebody has a fever, not only in dengue, not only when there's sipun, not only when you have malaria, not only in any case, somebody has a fever, especially children. Mothers, you don't have to worry about the fever. That's not the main concern. The main concern is the head. Make sure the head is cold. Even if you don't have the opportunity to go to a hospital where somebody can help you, don't worry. As long as you keep the head cold, you don't have to worry. Don't stress yourself and feel anxious. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and do what you have to do. What you have to do is if you have eyes, much better, very best. You get ice and put the water with a container, get a cloth and put it in the ice water, get the ice water cloth on the head. It's better the cloth to cover the area that is hot, the whole head, to make sure that it is cold all the time. You can sense that the cloth is getting hot already. You bring it back to the cold water and put it back on the head. There may be dripping on the clothing, no worries about that. You may want to put them in a bed where the head is hanging out in a place that the water runs down, fine. I like that, the bamboo beds or the bamboo flooring. I have sometimes even put my children in the bamboo flooring at night to keep them when they had a little fever. And even when my little daughter had amoeba's infection from the water that I was drinking and she was drinking, and we both had amoeba experience, sadly, we kept well, myself and her. I was the one who suffered more, but in her case it was only 3 days of high fever, and I kept her like that. And then as long as the head is cold, you don't have to worry about seizures. Now, what about the body? In the body, the person must be covered well all the time, or especially when the chilling part comes. Especially in the malaria cases, the chilling process is higher than dengue most of the time. But either way, anybody that is chilling, what it is, basically the body is not able to control the temperatures in the way it should be. The fever is coming up and the person starts feeling this shivering. And the key point for keeping somebody well comfortable on the process of the shivering is covering well all parts of the body. Cover especially the feet with socks, long pants, and even you can wrap them with a blanket or cloth, whatever you have available, a towel, anything that you have, but keep the body covered. I can tell you, even when my son Cadmiel, the small one, or my other sons had malaria, in one of our trips we had the opportunity to experience that, and they were having the fever. We cover them well, the shivering will go away. So remember, the heat in the body is not a problem. The body can heat up without any problem. You can get it really high and the body will have no suffering. As a matter of fact, fever is a process that God placed in our body even before sin came in the history. God in His mercy placed fever before sin came in practice. Therefore, we know that fever is part of the plan of salvation. It represents the plan of salvation. It's a fighting figure and the grace provided before the sin had come. God could have made us without a fever process, that we will not have fever, yet we were not made that way. We were made with fever when we did not need it. Adam and Eve had the fever process in their body, yet it was not used. It was only in use when we had sin coming into our world. Therefore, we see the mercy of God and the beauty that beforehand He prepared a plan to save us from diseases, to fight the battle. So let me explain what fever is. Fever basically is a system of the body. You can talk about the thermostat of the body, the thyroid, and all that. But the idea is your body controls the temperature for fighting diseases. When the immune system sees that there is an attacking agent, there is somebody that should not be inside, or there is something happening in the body, the heat of the body will increase to kill the bacteria, viruses, and even cancer cells. Yes, that's why some people in some therapies use fever treatments or heating systems to try to kill even the cancer cells, because it helps the white blood cells to do the processing that they need. If you may remember some of the presentations, I explained the diapedesis. Diapedesis is the process where the white blood cells actually come out of the blood vessels, and then it goes crawling into a place to fight the diseases. When the white blood cells get to the place, then eat up the bacteria, and this is what we call phagocytosis. So the diapedesis and phagocytosis. All these processes are enhanced, are better when you have heat in the body. So the heating of the body is not a concern, it's actually a help for us. So what about the practice of eating or taking paracetamol or all these painkillers, fever killer medication or antipyretics? Well, in reality, anything that decreases the fever, it is necessary or useful if you don't want so much fever or you don't need so much fever. But when your body needs fever, which is most of the time, in reality, you don't need it. Example, when I was studying myself medicine, I used to use paracetamol or Tylenol, always known, to treat people with it. But when I learned about this and I was trained about the natural remedies, then I learned in reality you don't need it. So I started experiencing with it. And my patients, of course, we had it with situations of fever treatments, wet sheet pack, and so on. And my own children, whenever they had fever, I put them, for example, when they were small, I would put them in a container, big water container. I would put them in there, the whole body sitting on it. And then I would put in the head cold water. As long as the cold water is in the head, no worries. Now, you don't really have to have ice water. Even in the mountains in the Philippines, I have done it with only regular water. No refrigerator, no freezer, no ice. You can still do it. But you have to be very careful because the water, regular water, will heat up faster. Therefore, you have to make sure you have more water maybe, or just change it regularly, or get the cloth, wrinkle it more, and you can actually breeze it. Breeze it, breeze it. The heat go away. Just breeze it. You get the cloth in the water, wrinkle it, and breeze it. It gets cool. And then you put it on the person's head. And if you need, you can use a hand fan. This nice, country hand fan or whatever you have available. Just fan the person also beside putting the cloth with water on the head. I have experienced myself these things in my family, so I can tell you how the Lord has been impressing to use whatever is necessary or available to make sure the treatment is well done. So I had the experience myself with my family, even my queen, when I have done some treatments with wet sheet pack, and I make sure the head is cold by using this hand fan, and then wrinkle it more, pouring even water on the head. I had one time the experience of putting my queen on the bamboo flooring, and then she was getting heat up, hot, so the head. So what I did is I just took water and pour water, pour water, pour water. Another time I thought, well, I'm wasting too much water and I am not recovering. So what I did is I had her in a table with the head a little on the corner, and if it's, because it was on the corner, I could pour water, and in the bottom I had another palangana to receive the water again. Since it's not the drinking water, you're just washing the head, putting the water on the head, you can use the water again. As the water goes down and the air is coming, the water actually cools down again. So you can just take the palangana, put it on top of another place, or change it. And the water that you have used, you can reuse it again. Either way, whatever is more convenient, comfortable for you, do it. But you can use, water is basically available anywhere, and you can help somebody. So remember, body must be covered, no chilliness. Don't allow the patient to be chilled. Socks, pants, everything. Cover him well, even blankets or towels, whatever it takes. Even the hands, long sleeve, good. Make sure the person is well covered. Then the head must be cold all the time. You don't have to use paracetamol or all those things because it's not necessary. But if you want to use it, it's your decision. Now, in the cases of malaria and dengue, there is one more important aspect that you want to do. Number one, no sugar whatsoever. No sugar whatsoever. We are talking now about the diet. What are we going to use to help the person in terms of diet? Number one, no sugar. Sugar lowers the immune system, and the immune system will not be able to attack the parasite, the case of parasite or the viruses. Therefore, you have to make sure there is no sugar in the diet. Stop every chicheria, anything that has sugar. No sugar, just regular food in the cases they want to eat. Because even when we talk about the malaria, it is good to fast for 1 day. It is good to stop eating for 1 day and then you resume eating in the next day, so your immune system is even higher. We experienced that ourselves when I had the malaria. My 3 children had the malaria, and only my queen did not have the malaria. We all had it in different days. One started 1 day, the other one another time, and she was the one taking care of most of us at the day's ending. I helped her with the first one, which was Camille, I think, but after that, when I got sick myself, I dropped into it. Then she helped us to get off. She didn't get it, so she was not bitten most likely, but we all 4 got it when we visited the south part of Palawan. Then the point is that we fasted in different days. 1 day I fasted, Camille fasted 1 day, and so on, whenever the peak point of the disease was coming, when we were feeling really, really bad. After that, we did sunbathing, We continue with good diet, no sugar whatsoever, because we don't use, myself in our family, we don't use sugar. We use only the fruit sweets and sweeteners, basically banana and raisins and all that, but no sugar. So our diet is really, really high. Our immune system is the best we can make it, and we don't have to worry about that. But if you're eating sugar, your baby or your family member will not be able to make it if you keep using it. Then the other aspect that you want to remember in terms of diet or treatment is the papaya leaves. Very important. Dengue or malaria. Papaya leaves is very important. Now some people may say a young leaf papaya, that's fine. Old papaya leaves, whatever. It is not really an issue because all the elements that are necessary, they are in both, in the young one or the old one. Whatever you have available, you can use. Now one may be more active, the other one may not be so active. Amount of activity is probably different, but don't worry, don't try to explain everything in details. When you have a situation like this, you really want help, and you can use either one. Now the flavor, of course, is going to be more bitter in one or the other one. Sometimes I found that the bitterness is more in the old leaves than in the young ones. Either way, they are both bitter no matter what. So the idea is, whatever the leaves are, you use the papaya leaves. You can make a juice, you can eat it with your meal, but the strongest, better for the fighting at the moment when it's really strong, the battle, is the juicing. So the best combination that people have come up with, that I have even myself learned from some Filipinos, is the use of the papaya leaves juice with buko juice. So you can actually make the juice with buko juice and then drink it. Now let me be honest with you, to me that is not a good idea. Now that's what I learned from people here in the Philippines, but that's not a good idea. Why? Not because it's wrong, just because the taste is really bad. So the idea is, what I recommend is what I did when I did the amoeba. I had the amoeba infection. What I did with the amoeba infections is I had a juice of papaya leaves. You can modify it, of course. You can find some other ideas better than mine, but the point is, what I found more useful or better is I will get the papaya juice from the leaves, old and new, whatever, and then I will get 1 glass of buko juice. I will drink the papaya leaves juice first, drink it all, and then I will drink after the buko juice, not mix. Because when you drink it that way, the whole flavor is bitter. With the buko juice at the end, instead of together, I find it easier and better. So if you can have that, go ahead. If you don't have buko juice and you have something else, please go ahead. The buko juice basically is more for the flavor and the rehydration of the person, putting back the minerals that are lost, which is really a good thing. But if you don't have it, you can use other things to bring it in. The most important one for the fighting of the elements that are killing the person is the papaya leaves. And that's the key for all, both dengue and malaria. There are other combinations that have been useful in some cases, even here in the Philippines. For example, the combination of caimito, bayaba leaves, and yes. Other combinations that have been useful for people here in the Philippines are avocado leaves, guava leaf, and caimito. They call it the ABCT because it's avocado, bayabas, and caimito. Of course, bayabas because it's B in Tagalog, but in the English name is guava. Will be a G, but I accept that because we are in the Philippines. ABCT. All right, that's a good combination also for dengue if you don't have malaria, if you don't have papaya leaves. But for me, what I have in my experience, the best of the best is papaya leaves. And that's the one that I use also for my amoeba infection. So if you have other questions, you may want to contact us or somebody else that has experience with this. But I hope this information is really good, especially now that we are hearing from some cases of dengue in the place. If you need, look for help because it is really a bad disease. You can have other treatments like wet sheet pack. You can have sunbathing. That will help your process also. God bless you.
He's Coming Broadcasting Network.